Hey everyone, I Can Understand here, and today we're going to be looking at auction flipping and how the auction house actually works, so you can find the best deals and save a lot of your money. And if you like it, please leave a like, and let's get into it. So to actually begin using the auction house, you're going to want to know the main buttons. You have search, you have sort, you have item tier, you have the bin filter, and then you have the next page and the go back. Now, these are very important buttons. So if you take a look at this button, the search, this is by far the most important button because you can search for items. So say I wanted to find, I don't know, a Valkyrie sword. Let's see if there's any. There is one. That's how I would find it. Now, that's incredibly expensive, so you could just find it no matter what, but that's probably the most maxed out sword I think I've ever seen in this game. Next, you have the sort. Now, the sort is probably the second most important button, because you can go by highest bid, lowest bid, ending soon, and most bids. Now, I would advise never to use highest bid or most bids. That is just the weirdest thing ever. So you want to either go to lowest bid or ending soon. So if you go to lowest bid, you can see like a lot of those are trash items, but if you search something, you can find a better deal. Ending soon just shows you what's ending soon, which can help you if you're incredibly lazy and you don't want to wait an hour. Now, like I said, there are different like buttons for this if you change the bin filter, but we'll get into that later. Next is the item tier. Now, there is one item tier that you can't search for, and that is Supreme. You can't search for that, but you can search for everything else. Now, let's say you wanted to find a dragon sword, so you type in drag. But as you can see, there's mythics, there's legendaries. I think there's even a couple like epics mixed in there too. Like this is not gonna be practical. So you want to use this. Let's say you wanted a mythic aspect of the dragon, so you search up mythic, as you can see, and then you just head back. Now, as you can see, you can find them. A lot of these are Midas swords because nobody uses Midas sword anymore. And this is where the sort comes in, because you can go by lowest bid. Now you can see all of the items that you want. But wait, now you can see that there's starting bids, but there's also buy nows. And you see, to fix that, you want to use this button, the bin filter. The bin filter sorts between bins and auctions. Bins just mean you can instantly buy it. So if we head to bin, as you can see, suddenly we're greeted with all of the aspects of the dragons at the front because they're the cheapest, and then the Midases and like bows are gonna come later. I mean, and there's even this guy right here. But as you can see, this helps sort through bins, and that's extremely useful. Now, of course, I'm using the next page, which you also know, it just switches the page. That's very simple. You can also click the go back to go back to the front, and then you can also head to the previous page. Pretty useful. Next, you have these. These are all of the categories where you will find every item. Let's say that if we just clear, also the reset settings exist, but let's say I switch up drag. Now, as you can see, it automatically directs me to armor. But let's say, I don't know, I wanted a reforged stone. I can go here, and, there's also pets, but as you can see, there's also reforged stones. Now, that's how you navigate. So you got tools and miscellaneous, blocks, consumables, accessories, armor, and weapons. Now, as you can see, it gives you some examples so you know what you're looking for. Now, obviously, you're probably not going to use something like the consumables all that much, except for enchanted books. Accessories is the very same. You're only going to use it for accessories, because that's exactly what it's for. Now, probably the most ones you're going to use are going to be weapons, armor, and miscellaneous. Now, the reason why, also, blocks is probably going to be the least used, because nobody buys blocks in the auction house. Are you kidding me? Nobody does that. So, the reason why you're going to be using this one the most is because pets are stored here. Miscellaneous items like Necron's handle are stored here. Well, actually, is Necron's handle in here? Hold on. Okay, yeah, it is in miscellaneous. So, you're going to have Necron's handles, you're going to have Ender Dragons, all the pets, you're also going to have tools, you're going to have Reforged Stones. This is the most important tab. Now, a lot of people might say, oh, but weapons help you do damage. Yeah, so do Reforged Stones, so do Ender Dragons. Also, you can also get dungeon items here, which is extremely nice. Unless it's Super Boom, which for some reason in blocks, I don't know why, but I mean, I guess you can place it down. So that's block. Anyway, that's how you would use those. Next, we're going to go over some auction flipping methods and how to flip. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I need a pad for runtime. Anyway, so now some good auction flipping methods. If you head here and you click search, now let's say you wanted to flip, oh, I don't know, lapis armor, because, reasons. You go to lowest bid, and if you head to the bin, you can see that there isn't any lapis. Why? Because that's not how you flip lapis armor. You flip it by selling to NPCs. So the way you would do that is you head to auctions, head to ending soon, and then you go to armor. Now, there is technically some on the bin, but nobody buys from the bin. If you buy from the bin, you are kind of dumb because lowest pricing isn't exactly the safest option. You might still be able to sell it to some dumb people, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, how you do this, you go to ending soon, in the auctions only, you look for something like this. As you can see, there's not a lot of good deals here. Now, you look for a good deal. That's not a good deal because they only sell for 1,000. You want to look for the low bids, the extremely low bids, and I'm talking like this. This is a good deal because you can sell that for like 2,000 coins and make 1,500 profit. That's how you would flip lapis armor. It's the same with miner too. If you use the bin for lapis armor, you need some help because it costs nearly 10 times as much than auctioning. It's insanely stupid. Now, let's say you wanted to flip on the auction house itself. There were multiple methods. One, you can go to auctions, you can go to ending soon, find something you want, and then go to bin, go to lowest price, search for that lowest price, and then put it up. That's one of the simpler ones. You can also do the bin only method, where you look through the bin, and as you can see, these are very similar, so you don't want to use those. But if you look at, say, Necron's handle, now this Necron's handle, there is a bit of a discrepancy, as you can see, 3 million. But because it costs so much, taxes are going to whip you. So do not do that. If you want something good to flip, I'd recommend armor sets. Armor sets are the best to flip. Because as you can see here, if you head to, say, Skeleton Grunt, which is probably one of the better ones to flip, you can head to bin, and as you can see, there's like a 2,000 coin difference between those. About nothing between that one, sadly. As you can see, it's very difficult, but the boots are pretty good to flip. The helmets, there's a 3,000 coin difference. That's pretty good. Now, we're going to go over to some of the weirder ones, which people don't use that often. Now, we're going to be using fragments here as an example, because fragments are for this next method is the crafting method, where you buy stuff and then sell it off differently. So, say you want to buy a crystal fragment. Now, don't always look at the first page, because there might be better deals. As you can see, you can find multiple buy offers. You need to look through them just to make sure you get a good deal. Now, as you can see, there isn't a lot of good deals right now. But let's just say, theoretically, I wanted to buy one of these and get scammed. I would look for one, I'd buy it, and then as you can see, I bought it. Here it is. Now, you would head over to the bazaar, you would head to mining, you grab some endstone, and you have to have the recipe unlocked, so just remember that. You buy it, and then once you have the recipe and the materials, you craft it, then you head here, right click, and then create sell offer. As you can see, I bought that for about 65,000, and I'm selling it for 67,000. Now, typically it is better, but apparently somebody's bought up all the crystal fragments. Now, if that sells, you will make $2,000. Of course, it is very difficult to use this method, which is why not a lot of people use it. But you can make a lot of money. I remember one time back when, like, dragon swords were about 7 million each, I made 10 million in a day using this method. Of course, it's definitely died down by now, but, you know, it still works pretty well. So it could be a method for you. Now, I'm going to talk about a new method, which isn't really talked about. That's the bit flipping. Bit flipping is extremely weird and finicky, but you can use it pretty well. So what you want to do is, you want to buy a booster cookie, either from this or from the bazaar. You want to eat it, and you have to make sure you have a high fame level for this, or else it won't work as well, or at all. So, you head here, you go to bit shop. Once you have enough bits, you buy something. And then as you can see, let's take the builders one, for example. 12,000 bits. Now, if you have a high enough fame level like me, you can counteract that and even make profit on this, because bits, I make about 8,600 bits per cookie. So if I head here, and I type in a builder's wand, as you can see, they're about 2.4 million. And cookies are about 1 million in there. So it's going to take around 1.5 cookies to get a builder's wand. That is about 1.5 million. So I'd make about 1 million coins buying that. Of course, it would take multiple hours to get that. About, 15 hours, I think. But you can just AFK that. Now, that method is extremely good, but you do have to AFK for it, which is kind of sad. But you can do that while doing the other methods, which is extremely useful too. Now, the best method would be buying it, obviously, and then selling it to the bazaar. Now, if you can't do that, here's what I recommend for auction flipping. buy skeleton grunt, sell it off, buy it from auction, sell it on bin. And you can do that a lot. Now, for mid-game, it's a bit different, but reforged stones work pretty well, and weaponry such as the Aspect of the End work pretty well too. Now, for mid-game, or mid-late game, I should say, you should start going into dragon sets. Dragon sets can be good for flipping. And that's pretty much it for the mid games. And then for late game, you want to flip pets, you want to flip enchantments, a lot of like the expensive stuff you want to start flipping. Because you can make tens of millions of coins for each flip, and that's extremely nice. Now, once you hit like the very late game and like end game, which is like extremely hard to get to, you've won. You don't need to flip anymore. You have everything you could ever want. You have all the money, you have the best island, you're done, you've won. And that's basically auction flipping. Once you reach a high enough level, you don't need to do it anymore. You can just sit back and relax as you get tens of millions of coins just from sitting back and relaxing. Maybe doing dungeons. Maybe like kicking Necron. Like just destroying him. Honestly, it's up to you. It's your choice for how you want to auction flip. Anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up the auction flipping tutorial. If you liked it, please like and subscribe. And if you have any like recommendations for what I should next, leave it in the comments. I always look at the comments. I always like respond. So if you have any recommendations, please tell me, and I will try to get them done. And as always, have a great day. I'll see you later.